Day 6 of 30, sit with it. Avoidance feels like peace right up until the thing you avoided owns the room. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 6. There is a lie the mind tells when something hurts. If I don't touch it, maybe it will go away. Don't open the email. Don't make the call. Don't check the account. Don't have the conversation. Don't tell anyone. Don't look too closely at what you're feeling. Don't think about what happened. Don't think about what you did. Don't think about what was done to you. Stay busy, work harder, train harder, scroll, drink, sleep, travel, date somebody else, buy something, start another project. Turn the music up. Anything except sit still long enough to hear what the shadow has been trying to say. We call that peace. It isn't. It's avoidance. And avoidance has a strange property. Almost everything we do to avoid pain eventually makes the pain larger. The unpaid bill gets penalties. The difficult conversation becomes resentment. The medical problem gets worse. The apology becomes harder. The lie requires another lie. The fear expands. The relationship becomes colder. The secret becomes heavier. The thing we pushed into tomorrow quietly collects interest. Bad news rarely gets better because you refuse to open the envelope, and neither do we. At some point, you have to sit with it. Not surrender to it. Not worship it. Not build your identity around it. Just stop running long enough to see what is actually there. The matrix of avoidance. Morpheus asked Neo, "What is real?" That's the question here. Because avoidance creates an alternate reality. Not one where the problem disappears. One where we temporarily don't have to feel it. There is a difference. Something hurts. Avoid it. Relief. The brain says, excellent. That worked. So next time you avoid sooner, then sooner, eventually everything remotely connected to the original pain becomes dangerous. The room gets smaller. You call it protecting your peace. Sometimes it is. Boundaries are real. Distance can be necessary. But sometimes protecting my peace becomes sophisticated language for I am refusing to deal with reality because reality makes me uncomfortable. Those are not the same thing. Real peace can survive contact with truth. Avoidance cannot. Bad news does not age like wine. We all know this, and still we do it. The letter sits unopened. The voicemail sits unheard. The paperwork waits. The conversation gets postponed. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe when life calms down. Life does not calm down. The mind wants certainty before action. Reality rarely provides it. So the unresolved thing remains in the background, consuming processing power. You aren't consciously thinking about it every second, but part of you knows. The call still needs to be made. The truth still needs to be spoken. The decision still needs to happen. You can leave a browser tab open for months. It still uses memory. Human beings do the same thing. Enough unresolved tabs, and eventually the system slows down. Then we wonder why we're exhausted. Close the tabs, one at a time. Isolation feels like control. This one is dangerous because it can feel strong. I'll handle it myself. Maybe you can. But ask why you need to. There is a difference between independence and isolation. Independence says, I am responsible for my life. Isolation says, nobody gets to see me struggle. Those are completely different philosophies. One creates strength. The other eventually destroys the value of your support network. Think about how absurd it is. We spend years building friendships, families, teams, relationships, communities. Then the exact moment life becomes heavy enough that we actually need them, we disappear. Why? Because we don't want to burden anyone. Because we don't want to look weak. Because we're ashamed. Because we don't want advice. because we're afraid they'll see us differently. So the village stands there fully equipped to help carry the load while one person is underneath it saying, "No, I've got it." Then collapsing. That's not strength. Sometimes that's pride wearing body armor. Nobody does life alone. Day 4 was about the people who stay when the music stops. But there's another side to that. They cannot stand beside you if you refuse to tell them where you are. Your people are not mind readers. Love does not grant telepathy. If everything you show them says, "I'm fine," eventually they may believe you. Then you sit alone thinking, nobody came. But nobody knew there was a fire. That's the lie squared again. First, the shadow convinces you not to ask for help. Then it uses the absence of help as evidence that nobody cares. Brilliant, cruel, and completely dependent on you never noticing the trick. Notice it. Open the door. You do not need 50 people. Maybe you need one. One person who gets the real version. Not the edited version, not the strong version, not the professional version, not the version designed to keep everybody comfortable. The real one. Both masks. Every human being has masks. That's not automatically dishonesty. The world requires different versions of us. Parent, professional, warrior, friend, leader, partner, student, teacher. We adapt. The problem begins when nobody knows what is underneath any of them. When the mask becomes permanent. When every room gets a performance. When you're so good at being who everyone needs that eventually you forget who you actually are. Then someone says, "I love you." And the shadow answers, "They love the mask." That's a lonely place. Real love is different. The people who truly know you have seen more than one face. They've seen confidence and fear, kindness and anger, competence and confusion, generosity and selfishness, strength and exhaustion, the light and the shadow, and they still know the difference between your worst behavior and your entire identity. They don't pretend your flaws aren't real. They simply know your flaws aren't all that is real. That's being known. And being known is far more intimate than being admired. Sit with the person you actually are. This is harder than sitting with the problem, because eventually every road leads inward. You can change jobs, cities, partners, friends, phones, houses, haircuts, bodies, bank accounts, entire identities. And somehow, wherever you arrive, there you are. You came with you. That's why constant external change eventually reaches its limit. At some point, the question becomes, who is the person doing all this running? What are you afraid to admit? What are you ashamed of? What are you angry about? Who do you blame? What do you want? What do you actually believe? What do you keep pretending doesn't hurt? Where were you wrong? Where were you right? Where do you need forgiveness? Where do you need boundaries? Where do you need to forgive yourself? Sit there. No phone, no distraction, no performance, just you. This is the cave. But now you're not staring at the shadows. You're examining the projector. The shadow is internal. People misunderstand the shadow. They imagine some evil alternate personality hiding inside. It's simpler than that. The shadow contains the parts of ourselves we'd rather not look at. Anger, fear, jealousy, weakness, control, neediness, resentment, pride, shame, the desire to hurt someone who hurt us, the desire to be loved while pretending we don't care. The things that don't fit the identity we built, so we exile them. But exiled things do not disappear. They operate from the dark. That's why. The real war is within. You cannot defeat an enemy you refuse to acknowledge exists. Turn the light on, say, yes, that is also me. Not all of me, but part of me. Now what do I do with it? That's integration, not indulgence. You don't let anger drive because you acknowledge anger exists. You become more capable of choosing because now you know who's in the vehicle. The light is internal too. Here's the part people forget. If the shadow is inside you, so is the light. The same mind capable of resentment is capable of forgiveness. The same heart capable of hatred is capable of love. The same person who lied can tell the truth. The same person who ran can turn around. The same person who failed can learn. The same person who hurt somebody can become safer. The same person who was broken down can rebuild. We spend so much time terrified of what we'll find if we look inside that we forget something. The good stuff is in there too. Courage, compassion, humor, loyalty, creativity, faith, discipline, love. The person who survived every terrible day you've ever had. Also in there. You are not entering the cave merely to discover monsters. You're going down there to retrieve yourself. Light beats dark. Not because darkness is weak. Darkness can feel enormous, especially when you're inside it. But darkness has one fundamental limitation. It cannot exist where light occupies the same space. Open the door. Light enters. Strike a match. Darkness retreats. Turn toward truth. The illusion weakens. Speak the thing you've been hiding. The secret loses weight. Ask for help. Isolation loses power. Take responsibility. Shame becomes instruction. Set the boundary. Resentment begins losing its job. Forgive. The past loses jurisdiction over the present. None of this means one conversation fixes everything. It doesn't. But every time you choose truth over avoidance, you're turning on another light, and enough lights change the entire room. The light beats the dark every fucking time. Not automatically, not magically, because somebody has to turn it on. That's your part. Peace is not the absence of problems. We keep trying to engineer lives where nothing uncomfortable happens. Impossible. Real peace is not a silent inbox, a perfect relationship, zero debt, no difficult conversations, no grief, no conflict, no uncertainty. That's not peace. That's fantasy. Peace is being able to stand in reality without constantly needing reality to become something else first. That is a much harder skill. The problem exists. Okay. The news is bad. Okay. The conversation hurts. Okay. I don't know what happens next. Okay. I still know who I am. Now we can move. Day 6. The message. Sit with it. The thing you've been avoiding. The conversation you've been postponing. The truth you've been editing. The part of yourself you don't want anyone to see. Sit with it. Not forever. Long enough to stop being afraid of looking at it. Because avoidance isn't peace. Avoidance is borrowing peace from tomorrow at an interest rate you cannot afford. Bad news doesn't improve in the dark. Problems don't disappear because we refuse to name them. And isolation doesn't protect your relationships. It makes your support network useless precisely when you need it most. Nobody does this thing called life alone. Nobody. So let the people who love you know where you actually are. Not everybody deserves access to the real you, but somebody should have it. Let them see both masks, the strong one and the scared one. The person who gets it right and the person who fucks it up. The light and the shadow. The people who truly love you aren't looking for a flawless human being. They're looking for you. And then do the harder thing. Give yourself the same privilege. Stop running from your own reflection. Look at the whole person, good and bad, courage and fear, love and resentment, success and failure. The person you're proud of, the person you wish you'd never been, all of it. Because the answers you've been searching for in other people, other places, other achievements, other relationships, and other distractions eventually lead to the same place, inside. So does the shadow. That's the frightening part. But here's the part the shadow doesn't want you to figure out. The light lives there too. And once you stop running, once you turn around, once you finally sit with what is real, you discover something. The shadow looked enormous because you were facing away from the light. Turn around, open the door, tell the truth, ask for help, take responsibility, forgive yourself, forgive others where you can, fix what can be fixed, accept what cannot, then stand up. You don't have to destroy the darkness. You just have to stop protecting it from the light. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 1, gratitude, notice what remains. Day 2, just like you, notice who remains. Day 3, dogs, notice who needs you. Day 4, who's there when the music stops? Notice who stands in the rain. Day 5, mistake. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're okay. Day 6, sit with it. Stop running from what you already know. Avoidance feels like peace until the bill comes due. Isolation feels like strength until you need your village. The mask feels like protection until you realize nobody knows who's underneath it. So sit with it, see it, name it, share it with the people who earn the right to hear it, then deal with it. The answer was never somewhere outside the cave. It was inside you. Unfortunately, so was the shadow. Fortunately, so was the fucking light. And the light beats the dark every fucking time. ICT. The real war is within. Ideas are bulletproof.